Welcome back to the Parenting Advice Daily Podcast. I'm so glad you're here today because we are tackling one of the most universal, frustrating, and honestly, exhausting parts of being a parent. It's that moment when you've asked your child to put their shoes on for the 14th time, and they are still sitting there, staring at a Lego brick like it's the most fascinating object in the universe. We've all been there. You start with a gentle request, then a firm reminder, and eventually you find yourself standing in the middle of your living room in Chicago or a suburban kitchen in Dallas, just yelling. Your face is red, your heart is racing, and your child is either crying or completely tuned out. It feels terrible for everyone involved. But here is the secret I've learned in my 15 years as a pediatric occupational therapist. Yelling is actually the least effective way to get a child to listen. In fact, it often does the exact opposite of what we want. Today, I'm going to walk you through a powerful, evidence-based, 5-step method that I use in my clinical practice every single day. These aren't just parenting hacks. These are strategies rooted in neurobiology and sensory processing that help children listen the first time without the power struggles. We're going to move from a place of, why won't they listen to me, to a place of, I know exactly how to guide them. Before we dive into the steps, let's talk about the why. Why do we yell? Usually, it's because we feel powerless. We think if we increase the volume, the message will finally penetrate. But according to Dr. Dan Siegel's hand model of the brain, when we yell, we actually trigger the child's downstairs brain. That's the fight, flight, or freeze center. When a child is in that state, their upstairs brain, the part responsible for logic, listening, and following directions, literally goes offline. You're essentially screaming at a closed door. So let's open that door. Let's look at step 1, the physical approach and proximity. Imagine a mom named Sarah in a busy apartment in Brooklyn. Her son Leo is 5. Sarah is in the kitchen finishing the dishes, and Leo is in the living room playing Minecraft. Sarah yells from the kitchen, "Leo, it's time to turn it off and come eat dinner." Leo doesn't move. Sarah yells louder. Still nothing. As an OT, the first thing I tell Sarah is, stop yelling across the house. Sound waves traveling through walls are just background noise to a child deep in play. Step 1 is to physically go to them. You need to get on their level. Walk into the living room, crouch down so you are at eye level, and maybe even place a gentle hand on their shoulder. This is what we call connecting before directing. By entering their physical space, you are signaling to their nervous system that something important is happening. You aren't a distant voice. You are a present force. It sounds so simple, right? But it changes the entire energy of the interaction. You're no longer a drill sergeant shouting from the sidelines. You're a coach right there on the field with them. Now, once you are there on their level, we move to step 2, the connection and validation phase. This is where most parents skip ahead to the command. But if you want a child to listen, you have to acknowledge what they are doing first. Let's go back to Leo and his Minecraft game. Instead of saying, "Turn it off now," Sarah should say, "Wow, Leo, look at that castle you're building. That's a lot of cobblestone. You've been working really hard on that." Why does this work? It's based on the Polyvagal theory by Stephen Porges. When we acknowledge a child's current state, we are creating relational safety. We are telling their brain, "I see you. I value what you're doing." When a child feels seen, their nervous system relaxes. They are much more likely to transition away from a preferred activity if they feel like you've shared a moment of it with them. Spend just 30 seconds, noticing what they are doing before you give the instruction. Step 3 is where we actually give the direction, but we have to be very specific. I call this the do command versus the don't command. In my clinic in Los Angeles, I see this all the time. A parent will say, "Stop running," or "Don't leave your toys there." The problem is, the child's brain has to first process what running is, then figure out the opposite, and then execute it. It's a lot of cognitive load. Instead, we use positive do language. Instead of, "Don't leave your shoes in the hallway," we say, "Please put your sneakers in the blue bin." Instead of "stop yelling," we say, Please use your indoor voice so I can understand you. Be clear, be concise, and use a neutral, confident tone. Think of it like a GPS. A GPS doesn't yell, "Stop going the wrong way, you idiot." It calmly says, "At the next intersection, turn right." Be the GPS for your child. Give them the destination, not just a list of where not to go. Now, this next step is the one parents find the hardest. Step 4, the 5-second wait rule. As Americans, we are obsessed with speed. We want things done now. But a child's brain, especially the frontal lobe, is still under construction. It can take a child up to 5 to 7 seconds to process an auditory command and turn it into a physical action. Let's look at a dad named Mike in a suburb of Seattle. He tells his daughter Maya, "Put your coat on, we're going to the grocery store." Mike counts to 2. Maya hasn't moved, so Mike says it again, louder. "Maya, I said put your coat on." Now Maya is frustrated because she was just about to do it, but now she feels nagged. Here is the OT secret. After you give a clear do command, you must stay silent. Count to 5 in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Often, right around 4 or 5, you'll see the child's body start to move. They were processing. If you interrupt that processing with a second command, you've just reset their internal clock, and you've increased the tension in the room. Give them the gift of time. But what happens if they still don't move? That leads us to step 5, the physical follow-through with natural consequences. This is the step that eliminates the yelling forever, because yelling is usually what we do when we don't know what else to do. If you've approached them, validated them, given a clear do command, and waited 5 seconds, and they still haven't moved, it's time for action, not more words. In occupational therapy, we use physical prompting. If I tell a child, it's time to put the iPad on the counter, and they don't, I don't yell. I walk over, I say, "I see you're having a hard time stopping. I'm going to help your body follow my directions." Then I gently place my hand over theirs and help them walk the iPad to the counter. No anger, no shaming, just a calm, firm realization that the direction will be followed. This is about co-regulation. You are using your calm nervous system to guide theirs. If the issue is something like putting on shoes and they refuse, the natural consequence is, "We are going to the park, but since your shoes aren't on, I'm going to carry them to the car, and you'll have to put them on in the driveway before we can play." I want to share a story about a family I worked with in Chicago. They had a 7-year-old named Jackson who was, as his parents put it, completely tone-deaf to requests. Mornings were a battlefield, screaming, crying, late for school every day. The parents were at their wits' end. We implemented this 5-step method. The first few days were hard. The mom, Elena, told me she had to physically help Jackson put his socks on while he grumbled. But she stayed calm. She didn't engage in the argument. She just repeated, "My job is to get us to school on time. I'm helping your body get ready." By day 10, something shifted. Jackson realized that the yelling was gone. The drama he was subconsciously feeding on had vanished. Because Elena was using the 5-second wait rule, Jackson felt he had more autonomy. He started putting his shoes on at count 3. By the end of the month, Elena told me, "I haven't raised my voice in 2 weeks, and for the first time in years, we actually had time to stop for a donut on the way to school because we were early." That is the power of this method. It's not about making children obedient like robots. It's about building a bridge of communication that respects their developing brain. It's about being the secure base that Mary Ainsworth talked about in attachment theory. When your child knows that you are consistent, calm, and that your words have meaning, they feel safer. And safe children are listening children. Let's recap those steps one more time because I want you to be able to use them tonight at dinner or bedtime. Step 1, get close. Stop yelling from the other room. Get on their level. Eye contact is key. I want to challenge you. For the next 24 hours, try to catch yourself before you yell. If you feel that heat rising in your chest, Take a deep breath and remember, proximity, connection, do command, wait, follow through. You might not get it perfect the first time. That's okay. As Carol Dweck says, use the power of yet. You aren't a master of this method yet. But every time you choose connection over shouting, you are rewiring your child's brain and your own for a more peaceful home. You've got this. You are the exact parent your child needs. Thank you so much for listening to Parenting Advice Daily. If this episode helped you, please share it with a friend who might be struggling with the yelling cycle. And don't forget to subscribe for more evidence-based parenting strategies from an OT perspective. I'm in your corner. See you next time.